Alex, we're getting ready for another trip away. You're off on your travels. Next port of call is Northampton, of course. Just looking back from the other night, what do you want to see improve when you go to Northampton from Tuesday's game at Stevenage?
I think with the ball, it's quite simple. Graham, without the ball, we were fine, as we've been for the majority of this season. But we were disappointed with what we did with the football. And obviously, if you don't keep the ball often enough and in good enough areas of the pitch for long enough in those types of away games, or any away game, or any game for that matter, then you're going to build pressure on yourselves. And obviously, that's going to be the aim for us, obviously, on Saturday, to produce better football so that we can control the game during periods, and off the back of that, have more goal mouth action.
Just looking at the sequence of fixtures, Stevenage the other night, Northampton coming up, of course, Bradford likely to be playing, and other teams. They're up against sides, and even sides just a little bit lower than you, but plenty to play for. Is that a good thing, coming into the final weeks of the season for where you're positioned?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you want to play games that have something on them, and whilst for us, we're taking nothing for granted in terms of what we've got to do between now and the end of the season, going up against a level of opposition who are playing for something in terms of promotion in most cases. When we're, those teams that you've mentioned, it just adds an extra bit of intensity and a little bit of added bite to the game, if you like, and that's good for players to look forward to, good for staff to look forward to, and good for supporters to look forward to, because I'm sure the teams that we will play, Bradford for instance at home, and certainly when we go to Northampton on Saturday, there'll be good atmospheres as well around the games.
Do you find out more about your players, particularly where you are at this stage of the season, middle of March, to when you really kick off, when everybody's on a high in July and August with the new season? But where you stage now, with games running out, and position of where you are on the table, is that something that you look at?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, look, it's brutal, isn't it? A League Two season, the intensity of it, it's demanding, it's relentless. The teams that you come up against are resilient, and they ask questions of you every game. And when you get to this stage of the season, when you're 35 games in, I think we are, the players that are robust and the players that can last the test of time, if you like, are the ones that you really rely on during this period. And you do find out about players in terms of the mental fortitude they've got, their ability to continue to keep going with the grind, if you like, because a football season is a grind. And we'll find out an awful lot about our players between now and the end of the season. There's certainly plenty to look forward to, and plenty riding on it for us to obviously take into the pre-season as well.
We'll get confirmation from you with the team around about 2 o'clock tomorrow, but of course there's one or two went off with an injury. Ron McDonald still suspended. What's the update on Ryan Finnegan and Tariq Uwakwi?
Yeah, they're doubts, obviously, both muscular injuries. We'll know more between now and kick-off time with regard to those two, and whether they're going to make the team or make the squad. So obviously both departed the game early the other night, Ryan in particular, with those problems. So we're working through those, and we're waiting on the medical team to give us a definitive on that regarding tomorrow's game. One
player who came through well, I know was overworked, which you wouldn't want to be seen, was your goalkeeper in James Beadle. And your assessment of him now, of where he is since he's arrived, and he's likely to be called up for an England setup as well with the under-19s. What's your overall view of how he's doing? He's
settled in really well, James. He was patient, waited for his opportunity. Obviously, he was here a few games before he replaced Dave Richards in the team. Had a terrific debut, and obviously has produced some good saves that have followed in the games that he's played against the likes of Rochdale and Stevenage in particular. He's still learning, so there'll be obviously moments during the game when he'll make mistakes and he'll have challenging periods, but what he is a really level-headed lad who is able to respond to any sort of challenge or any sort of negativity around him, if you like, and we've seen that with him, and he's going to go on to be a top goalkeeper.
It must be good for you and the coaching staff as well, and the football club, as well as his parent club in Brighton, to see what progress he's making. He wouldn't have got probably picked if he wasn't performing for you in your league.
Yeah, of course. I mean, look, it builds relationships, doesn't it, Graham, as well? We've had two goalkeepers now that have come from big Premier League clubs, huge Premier League clubs in Arsenal's case, and we've been able to enhance their development and obviously give them the opportunity to be exposed to competitive first team football, which obviously they're not going to get at the parent clubs at the minute. So the benefits are twofold. Obviously, they get a player that's going to have all of those things I've just mentioned, and we're going to have a relationships that are only going to grow stronger in terms of having loans from those clubs in future.
One player who's gone out from your club in the last few hours is Basala Sambu. He's moved out to non-league. Is that something that's been agreed by both parties? You think that's what's going to be good for him?
Yeah, I mean, it will be good for both parties because Bass's game time has been limited over the last few weeks, hasn't it? The return of Courtney Baker-Richardson's probably knocked him a bit further down the pecking order. Well, it has. And what he is he's a great professional, and he needs to go out there and play games of football. And I think it's mutually been agreed that it's unlikely that he's going to get as much football as he'd want between now and the end of the season playing for ourselves. So I'm sure he'll go out to Oldham, start games, have an impact, score some goals hopefully, and get himself into a position ready for next season.
Just looking at your next opponents, you'll still remember well it was a 2-2 draw with a 90th minute goal against for you that cost you those 3 points unfortunately, but they've had a fairly consistent time. I know they've only just lost one, I think, in about 10, but they've drawn 5. They're a bit of a draw specialist like yourselves as well, but they're in the mix, aren't they, for an automatic place?
Yeah, they're exactly where they were last year, weren't they? They always hovered. They don't really flip positions, Northampton. They always hover between that 3rd, 4th, 5th place, don't they? I don't think they've moved from that position probably since they played us 5-6 games in. They're a team full of good solid League 2 players, but they've also got some real quality on top of that as well, so they can do a bit of everything. And they've got, and Hoskins, I think he's the top scorer in the league, isn't he? So they've certainly got firepower at the top end of the pitch. They've got options from the bench as well. So we go into the game expecting what we expected against Stevenage, and something that you're going to find against teams that are up there when you play against them away from home. They're going to have territory, they're going to load the ball into your box, and you've got to stand up to those challenges, and then if you do, have some periods yourself where you can threaten their goal.
It's all about you establishing yourselves, isn't it? You didn't quite manage it. It was a nearly effort on Tuesday night. You want to be more than that Saturday tea time.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to evolve as a team in any way, shape or form. We've got to look past just being defensively resolute and strong and disciplined. You've got to have an ability, a capability of producing some football in the mid-third of the pitch to get you up the pitch into that final third to create opportunities. And those opportunities, as we've spoke about, have been few and far between the other night, and that's the challenge for us, and the work that's gone into this morning ahead of tomorrow will hopefully benefit that.